Hello guys, and welcome back to Commander, the Great War with our Entente playthrough, which in the last episode, we went ahead, we got the war started as Serbia. Now France and Belgium are in the war. I'm expecting Belgium to fall very, very quickly. We are going with the historical Alsace-Lorraine push. I'm at least going for Strasbourg to see how the AI reacts. I'm trying to feel out the AI of this game. I'm trying to learn it. I accidentally lost a cavalry as Serbia the first turn, but I gained some valuable information by losing it, and I've learned that the AI treats your units rather differently. Unlike most AI, which treat all units they go after except for support units relatively the same in most of these war games, it has a big distinction by the looks of it between how it treats things like garrisons, how it treats regular infantry units, and other support units. And so I've learned that the infantry units are not what the AI hopes to attack, but if it's anything less than an infantry unit like a garrison, they'll try to attrit that thing down as fast as they can. But I don't yet know how they handle me going for opportunities like this. I mean, they're clearly scripted to do the Schleifen plan here, the Schleifen plan, however you want to say it. And they're probably not expecting me to try to push through here and go right for Strasbourg. So they may reorganize, they may pull a fuck ton of reinforcements over here. They may double down on the Schlieffen plan. I don't know. We're going to find out because I'm about to hit end turn. It's currently the 6th of August. I haven't been keeping track of how much time passes every time I hit end turn. So let's try to keep a note of it this time. Alright, so they're coming in to attack down by Serbia. Yeah, you can see they're only going for the garrisons. They're not going for the regular infantry. That's why I have a plan down there to replace all my garrisons with regular infantry if I can afford it. I probably can't, but at least as many of them as I can, because they seem to leave the regular infantry alone a lot more. And already we can see up by what would become the Maginot Line, they have retreated one of their units before it gets encircled, basically surrendering that land to me. And Brussels has already fallen. They took that over with a big encirclement push. Nothing I could do about that, of course. This is historical. Artillery research. Alright, we can now research artillery. French Army of Africa. The Army of Africa in Algeria, Tunisia, comprised of 9 regiments of Algerian something, 4 of something, and 6 of something. I can't read these words, I'm not going to try. 4 of something and 2 of the Foreign Legion. Their mission to be transported from Algeria to Toulon and help defend France against the Central Powers' aggression. Interesting. Brussels has fallen. Yeah, that's the capital city. Has just fallen from Brussels, causing a blow to Allied morale. Now, is that everyone's morale or just Brussels? Because now, or Belgium, because now Belgium is down to 42% morale, so their units are comparatively useless. British expeditionary forces have arrived in major ports along the Channel, ready for departure to France. Great Britain will sail. Here comes the BEF. So Great Britain has now joined the war. Production capability lost. The nation's lost its last capital city, thereby losing the ability to produce units. Yeah, Belgium can't produce anything. I didn't expect Belgium to produce anything. So what is this now? A transport ship. So this is an infantry unit. So the game handed me another armored cruiser for free. It handed me another pre-dreadnought. And it handed me an infantry unit, which is, I guess, made up of all those African things the game mentioned moments ago. Now, that's pretty interesting. That tells me that you can be given a lot of units in this game just by events. So, we're not necessarily stuck with what we see that we have here. Also, it seems we've gone forward roughly a week, 6-7 days. Yeah, roughly a week, it looks like. Each turn, so every turn is 1 week. Then again, every turn may not be equal, because if this is 1 week a turn, then 118 turns would only be about 2 years. And as far as I'm aware, this game can go on into 1919. Oh, we've encountered our first bug. Malta appears to be empty, but there is in fact a garrison here. It just doesn't display. Alright, so there's a lot of stuff to do now that Great Britain has joined the war, so let's try to go through everything piece by piece. There's a lot of stuff we have to manage right about now. Let's start with this French infantry that was handed to us. We know where it told us to send it, and another infantry in France would be astoundingly helpful. Let's go ahead and send that up north. And, you know, hopefully they don't have any surprises for me. But, you know, just in case, I guess I'll send these units with them. Because clearly it was intended as some kind of escort. I don't think there's any escort functionality in this game where, you know, keep one unit next to another and it will defend that one. But still, I was also going about unifying a good chunk of the French fleet here. And I still want to go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and get these units together. Keep what units can escort with what units can escort. I'll send this submarine up here because that's the one I'm going to want to block this area off. And we have another French sub, which I'm going to send down towards Egypt, I believe, to kind of... Does the canal work in this game? I don't know. I don't think the canal is a functioning thing in this game. It wouldn't make sense because these are city tiles and the cities, well, the canal doesn't go anywhere. We already sent it down there. Maybe they have something floating around down there. I don't know. I don't know where else to send it for right now. So at least it can go scouting and check up over there. I'm going to get this British armored cruiser out of here. Since the canal doesn't really seem to matter very much, we don't need any British ships in this region. The French should be enough to handle this region, and when Italy joins in 20 plus turns, you know, the Italians should be enough as well. I want to organize my British fleet roughly around the Channel, because that's typically the most important place where I could go about such a thing. So let's keep it safe. Let's play it safe. Let's keep my units close to the coast. We have 4 fucking dreadnoughts up here, meaning we could crush any German surface fleet that dared show itself. So I'm going to send, here we go, pretty much all these dreadnoughts down south. Here we go. And I'm going to send the cruisers with them, clearly, because they're going to need some kind of an escort. And what do we have around here in terms of submarines? I know we have one up here. So I'm going to actually send that a bit to the north. Keep an eye on this region and stop them from coming through it. Do we have any other submarines? I'm not seeing any. I know Britain wasn't known for its submarines. It was known for its surface fleet. Yes, we only have one submarine. I think I'm going to handle this kind of like a coalition, which, by the way, I noticed my enemies are doing as well. Hey, von Hindenburg is here and he's on the Western Front. What the fuck? Isn't he supposed to be over by Russia? I think he is. Anyway, there's an Austrian infantry unit here. An infantry unit. Not a garrison. A fully fledged infantry unit. That's crazy. They're already working like a coalition. They already have Austrians on a German front line. Which can be a strength, right? But I also feel like it's going to be a weakness. Because that means the AI is not delegating its tasks as well. Theoretically, right? I'm going to be delegating my tasks. France, I'm going to go pretty heavy on land stuff with France. I'm going to go pretty heavy on naval stuff with the UK. I'm not going to go too crazy on building units. Especially not land units as the UK. I'm going to use their navy. I'm going to make more navy probably in the long run. I'm not going to go about building up a massive land army for Great Britain. It's inaccurate and I don't think it would be very helpful. One of the first funny things that are going on over here that I'd like to point out is that the BEF is one unit. It's one unit, actually. I expected more. But this game likes to downsize everything a lot. It definitely gives you less units to work with, which I don't mind. I just played so many micro-heavy games, I'm not used to it. The BEF is literally one unit, and it is an infantry unit. It's the only unit guarding London. Luckily, we probably don't really need to guard London, necessarily, so this shouldn't be too much of a problem. So, one of the first things I want to do here, I want to get this pre-dreadnought out of the way. Here, let's move it out there. So you can board your little transport, because I do think you're going to be needed in France. You might be better off sent somewhere else, like to Egypt or something. I don't know. I don't have any units down in Egypt except garrisons. I'm assuming I'll be given units in Egypt because I don't imagine they want me to hold all of Egypt like this. And I don't imagine they expect me to build an army for Egypt in only a few turns. I'd only get to build like a couple units at most. Transporting them would be a whole nother situation. Yeah, it makes me wonder, where do these units go when you make them? I'm realizing. Can you just place them at any city? I mean, hopefully so. I haven't actually had a unit finish production yet. We definitely want to guard this unit, make sure nothing bad happens. So I'm going to effectively block off the channel here. I'm going to send these 2 light cruisers. Can I get this one around? No. These 2 light cruisers to block off that location just in case, since that's essentially all we have to protect that. I'm going to go ahead, and the first thing I'm going to do with Great Britain is I'm going to order a garrison unit. I'm going to purchase that garrison unit. It will take 2 turns to make. Even though I'm not going to go land heavy, I want something sitting on London. It might as well be a garrison. I can't order a small garrison. I'd rather not move anything. I like how they're all sitting on the cities. They don't take any manpower. It's fine. Second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here to management, and I'm going to expand their ammo production as well. So that's going up. I want to get theirs to 10 as well, because ships also rely on ammo. We're not going to be firing with the ships every turn. I want to get them to at least a base of 10, not necessarily higher. France, I feel like might need to get higher, because I'm going to go ships and planes probably with Britain. That's what I'll use them for. They can use ships to control the waters. They can use planes to support in France. France, I'm going to go land and artillery, so that's where I'm going to focus stuff like that. That will also allow me to go into research and focus things like that. But for right now, I have a very limited amount of focus points. I don't know if they're shared or not. Either way, I don't want to necessarily use them just yet. If I don't have to, eventually I'll definitely want to buy more research categories. But I think I will be able to only purchase things in certain areas. For example, like Great Britain, I'm going to purchase stuff for naval, stuff for Air Force to speed up that research. I don't know how vehicles is going to go. I feel like Great Britain should produce some vehicles. I think they have good tanks and armored cars, probably. And then, like, armored cars should be useful in the deserts of Egypt, I'd imagine. I don't know how realistic this game is, but then tanks could be useful over in France, whereas France can go super infantry heavy. I mean, France has twice the starting manpower, so definitely that's the case. Great Britain only starts out with half the starting manpower, so that could definitely be an impediment to try to make an infantry focus out of them. Of course, I still want the bare minimum of things to research, and the upkeep isn't too bad. Speaking of France, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to purchase some more infantry for France, because it's obvious that France is going to need more infantry to hold this line. Hold any line here. I don't know how much they're really going to throw at me. I mean, realistically, we have enough to deal with this if we were going head-to-head with them. We're not technically going head-to-head with them right now, but I feel like they will end up needing more infantry. They have plenty of manpower. They're the perfect ones to do this. I know I want them to have more ammo. I'm going to go ahead right now, and I'm going to buy 2 French infantry, and then 4 turns we'll have 2 more French infantry, which we can hopefully deploy to meet this oncoming horde. I may have wanted to do that a little earlier than I had, but I had artillery on my mind. I'll definitely get to making artillery with them as well, but this is just what I see as being more imminent for France and more imminent of a way to use France's points. We also have some naval units over by Canada, but I don't really think we're going to need them over there, so I'm just going to get them moving eastwards. Honestly, I'm tempted to move some units from Canada eastwards, but there's not much to move. There's little garrisons, and that's about it, and that's not very valuable. In the grand scheme of this whole game, I could make those realistically with little issue. So I'm just going to take the ships, and I'm going to start sending the ships. That should be all of them. It's just, what is it? A light cruiser, an armored cruiser, and a pre-war dreadnought. Now, immediately, I know I want to make some moves on this front towards Alsace-Lorraine, because they pushed back, or pulled back, and they moved to cover Strasbourg without necessarily moving more troops over here, with the exception of a Austrian infantry force. I feel like I should take advantage of them, because they are feeling the heat, otherwise they wouldn't have moved. I'm going to move this army forward into these trenches that were just left here by these enemy garrisons. I wonder if the trenches stay there if you vacate them. That's a question I have. You vacate a trench for a turn or more. I wonder how that works. Does it disappear? Does it have a turn limit? Does it go down by like 1 every turn? I'd love to know that. I guess we'll figure that out as we play. I'm also going to take the infantry that's on Nancy, and I'm going to push it forward as well into the enemy lines that they've vacated. I'm going to take this garrison, I'm going to place it on Nancy so we have Nancy being protected. I'm going to retreat this Belgian car because these armored cars don't benefit from entrenchment, and if it stays here, it's just going to get slaughtered. It's not going to slow them down at all at this point. Armored cars seem to be harassing units. They retreat very easily. They don't do a lot of damage. They don't take a lot of damage. So I'm going to pull this back to where it might be a little bit more useful. Maybe it's a little bit of a blocking force right here for the time being. I hope to get it repaired, but I mean, Belgium and everything that belongs to it's probably going to be out very, very soon. It's going to fall. I don't think they can make Antwerp fall this turn without focusing on it. I don't think they can necessarily push southwest with this force that they have up here. So I'm not too worried about them pushing and causing me too many big problems. I'm going to now place this garrison right next to Paris, and I'm going to leave him there so he can gain some entrenchment. This other garrison that I have left in the rear is going to move in that direction at least as well. I don't know how or when or where he'll be needed, but I have a feeling he'll be needed. I'm also just noticing now that units have levels. They have fucking levels, and the German levels start out higher than ours. So they definitely have superior units. Makes me wonder about the Serbians. The Serbians are supposed to be battle-hardened right now, and they're all level 1. The Austrians are mostly level 1. Oh, there's a German garrison down here now. So I guess they traded. Germany was like, yo, bro, I'll give you a garrison if you give me an army. Yeah, sure. Kind of a weird trade. I hope the AI doesn't gain any preferential treatment with that system. Hopefully not. But I'm also going to take a cavalry and I'm going to train that forward just like I said I would. Here we go. Now it's up on this front line. I'm getting ready for a very mobile situation over here is what I'm expecting. I'm going to move this artillery up forward and it can't attack in the same turn. I don't know how the planes work necessarily with this rule, but I'm going to move it so it doesn't get ganked by some cavalry, because I'm expecting that to happen if I leave it here. So I'm going to move it down towards these trenches. No, it cannot attack. We can see there's some German fighters and German airships we're going to have to deal with. Wow, Germany starts out with like level 2 everything. I wonder how these levels work. Maybe that's using the upgrades when you have better research. So they might start out with just better research than everyone. That's really interesting. I wonder if the player gets that too, if they pick the central powers. I imagine they would, because that's how you would simulate the insane success and efficiency the Germans saw at the very, very beginning of the war. Now, what I'm seeing down in Alsace-Lorraine is that the Central Powers, I'll say, instead of just the Germans at this point, are mainly concerned with garrisoning it. They don't want to take anything away from the Schlieffen plan. So I'm going to take advantage of that. They don't have enough forces over here to make any kind of push, even if I leave them an opening. And I'm not going to leave anything really vulnerable open, but I'm going to make them feel the pressure lest they make any poor risks. So I'm going to take this infantry that's sitting here. I'm actually going to move them forward a touch. And now that leaves this area open. I'm actually going to take this infantry and move him up north here as well. This leaves this little entrenched area open, technically speaking. But I would gladly invite them to move something there. They move an army from Strasbourg. Now Strasbourg is open. They move an army from Metz. It's open. If they cycle everything forward, they've still left a hole in their lines or another unit open, or they've had to move another unit down here, which, seeing as Russia's about to join the war, that would be silly for them to do. They might have to move something from up here, weakening the Schlieffen plan. It's a risk I'm willing to take. The thing I'm most concerned with right now is getting around the Germans at Alsace-Lorraine rather than simply trying to push through them, because that's where I can potentially cut off their supply. And the game did mention something about supply, so it must be simulating supplies somehow. The efficiency of a lot of the units over here is also suffering. A lot of the German efficiencies are suffering, in fact, so I might as well take advantage of this. These odds aren't too great, seeing as we're using infantry and they have a garrison, but it's a level 2 garrison, and I can't really get better odds anywhere else. But I know I have to go on the offensive at least a little bit. I can't just sit around now that I've made them move while they're not entrenched, and I could lower their efficiency even more. So I'm going to take this infantry, and we're going to attack this garrison. Alright, we did no damage. Unfortunate, but, you know, we took our shot. I'm going to use this infantry as well. We took no damage, we did 1 damage. Alright, man, that's better than nothing. And here you can kind of feel the ebb and the flow of World War I, where you can sit down in the same place and you could just throw bodies and throw bullets at a target and really see little to no results. Any damage we can deal, remember, is going to be very important, because they are using the same manpower and production systems as we are. We can't just sit around unless we go to meet them and play defensively. I'll say Lorraine, I want to play more offensively, if possible. Another place where I can make some kind of an offensive is right up here on this enemy infantry, a level 2 infantry. Taking a little bit more of a risk here, but let's try it. So we'll attack here. All right, we dealt 1 damage. We took no damage. I'm perfectly fine with that. What's his efficiency? It's max, actually. I guess you can only really lower efficiency if you, I don't know, take a train, or you get RD'd, or a plane hits you. So that's good to know. Let's try to attack with this infantry as well. Dealt no damage, took no damage. About what I expected. But I definitely want to apply some pressure, and I believe that this will at least apply some pressure. While my setup here is being, well, set up, the BEF will arrive, and then we'll have some extra infantry to meet this massive charge. Not to mention, we have that other French unit that's going to arrive in Toulon, and will be able to be railed either to this front if he's needed, or to this front if he's needed. I'm willing to bet he's probably going to be needed up here. I'm kind of trying to recreate history because I know it can work, although I'm trying to play a little more offensively than France did. These game mechanics really punish you for taking risks, it feels like, but only in certain situations. I'm trying to feel it out still. We have enough ammo to fire a gun in Serbia. It's such a weird thing to say. The system of how this works is so weird. The Austrians are currently suffering here with one of their units, and they haven't repaired him. So I'm actually going to take this RD. I'm going to try to shoot him. We dealt no damage, and we took no efficiency, unfortunately. But if I go on the offensive here, looks like we can actually get some potentially decent results. So I'm going to take that risk. We lost 1, but we dealt 2. When I finally understand what these numbers mean. So these are the number of kills acquired by every nation so far. These are the number of casualties suffered by every nation so far. So France has killed 2 and lost 2. Serbia has killed 29 and lost 38. It really comes down to that cavalry at the beginning. Belgium has lost 28, killed 10. Great Britain, nothing. Austria has killed 38, lost 29. Germany killed 30, lost 13. It's a lot of weak countries dying right now. They're not really a factor. So while it may seem like I'm getting my ass kicked, well, historically, that's what the Entente is supposed to do. In Serbia, there's another situation over by the north border where there's this slightly damaged unit. It kind of went on the offensive. It's the only infantry up here. They've manned the rest of this with garrisons, so it's a pretty interesting situation. I'm actually going to go on the offensive here. I'm not trying to push or take any land. I'm just trying to deal some casualties, especially if I can feel like it would be an optimal gain. So I'm going to use this infantry to attack. Kind of risky, but while this infantry over here still isn't entrenched, I feel it could be beneficial. Alright, so we killed 2, we lost 1. I think that's pretty fucking good, at least, right there. And then we have another infantry nearby that we can try to do the same thing with. 2 and 2 likelihood. We dealt 2, we lost 1. And just like that, we did better than it predicted we would in both situations. I don't think I can, I can't repair them until next turn. I'm not going to risk using the garrison to attack because that's suicide. This is why I want more infantry for the Serbians, as you can see. I'm going to get one next turn. And then I don't know where to inject it, but I'm thinking right here would be the perfect spot because this is where they're weaker. And maybe I could, deal some more casualties like this because just like that, we just traded 2 losses for 4 kills. And for Serbians, you want to have a positive KDR, certainly. They've now lost 41, they've killed 33. It's getting a little bit better. Since I still have a little bit of production points for France, I'm going to gain a decent amount next turn, regardless of if I have none remaining or whatever. I'm also going to go ahead and purchase a garrison, because I can see plenty of uses for a garrison right now. So we have 2 infantry coming in 4 turns, and 2 turns we will get a garrison. I'm going pretty heavy on what I'm buying right now, but hopefully it won't come to bite me in the ass. I feel like this could only be helpful, though. The final thing I have to do this turn is move some more British ships. So we still need to send down... I got really distracted. We still need to send down some of these other ships to escort the dreadnoughts. Remember, that was the beginning of the fucking turn. So we have a light cruiser up here. I'm going to send it down here. Light cruiser up here. I'm going to send it down here. Light cruiser over here. Don't even know what way to send it, but I'll send it around that way. I'll send this one around the south. And that should be all the British ships. And with that, let's go ahead and end the turn and see what happens. And Russia is also about to enter the war. Ooh, okay, so they're shuffling some units around over in Serbia. They seem a little angry that I weakened some of their units. I see a lot of movement by train going on right here. Wonder where that stuff's going. They're moving units in and out by the looks of it, probably trying to clear out some weaker ones or clear out some stronger ones for other purposes, potentially. Oh! Oh, this is exactly what I wanted to see. This is exactly... Well, okay, that's not what I wanted to see. But they actually just retreated a couple of the units they had attached to the Schlieffen plan. And I was hoping by pushing that's what would happen. Russia entering may be what did it, but I was trying to force them to put less power there, because if they pulled anything back, I knew they wouldn't have enough forces to reach Paris. That's what I was betting on. Russia gets ready for war. After initiating army mobilization, Russian forces stand ready at the borders of Germany and Austria-Hungary. So mobilization started. That's the most important thing here. It started. They're not mobilized. Their mobilization started. Serbia is now fully mobilized. France is fully mobilized. Great Britain is mostly mobilized. Russia is going to probably take a little bit to get mobilized. Look at their starting manpower. It is over twice of France's, 2,500. Their strength really is their manpower. And we got our Serbian infantry. We also got convoys. Convoys spawn automatically at random points near the edge of the map. Each turn the convoy stays in the open sea will lose 1 strength point. Oh god. Convoy that has reached a friendly port will generate 10 production points for each remaining strength point. Oh wow. That's really important, because that's also, I believe, how Great Britain and France get manpower, but that also simulates the industrial base of the colonies. And so they spawn at completely random points then, huh? Well, I can't move it when it spawns in. That's unfortunate. So defending your convoys that are throughout the world is a bit of a random thing. You kind of need to learn where they spawn or just, rush to go help them. I wonder how convoy hunting would work then. And I wonder if Germany or Austria get any convoys. I started noticing little icons around the map like this on some units, and I can only assume that that means they're short on supply. However, when I click on them, the game doesn't actually give me any more information than this. The game is like 7 years old or something, so for 8 years or 9 years. When was 2012? It was 9 years ago. Yeah, so I guess I can't be surprised, or at least not too surprised. I'm gonna keep this British fleet headed eastwards, and we need to continue to reunify our fleets. One thing I'm going to do is, before I figure out exactly what I'm going to do, I want to go take a peek by Germany. You have a range of 3. So if I move you here, you should be able to see basically all around. Maybe here or here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This should be enough to see everything. Alright. So I don't know where their eastern fleet is. Not their eastern, their high seas fleet, but it could be docked. If I'm not seeing it here, it could be docked. Therefore, it's not actually open to any kind of offensive maneuvers. I was considering bringing in my dreadnoughts and everything, but I don't think attacking a ship in dock is a good idea. It usually isn't. Well, in that case, for now, we have a long turn ahead of us, considering now all of Russia's unlocked and to formulate everything they're gonna do. So I think we've actually had a nice full episode already. And it's the 20th of August, another week has passed. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Seems like it's gonna be pretty grand strategy heavy with how much stuff we actually have to micromanage, despite the fact that the scale is pretty macro. I'm enjoying it so far. Let me know if you guys are, or if you're not. What do you think about the game? What do you think about how it's going so far? What do you think I should do? And remember, I can name anything on the fucking map. So if you have a name that you want to use for something, let me know the name in the comments below, and let me know what you'd like it assigned to. For now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.